That's interesting.
Meeting to order. Welcome to everyone. Good evening and welcome to the Metropolitan Transit Commission meeting. We'll begin with introductions. We'll start with those in the room, and so I'll start introducing myself. I am Vi Lyles, and I am the mayor of Charlotte. We'll go this way.
I'm Rusty Knox. I'm the mayor of Davidson. I'm the vice chair of the MTC.
Good evening. My name is Lee Altman, Mecklenburg County serving at large, and I also serve as vice chair of the county commission.
Andrew Grant, town manager, Cornelius.
Tony Lathrop, Chair, NC Board of Transportation and Division 10 Representative.
Brad Thomas, City Attorney's Office.
Brent Cagle, Interim CEO, CATS.
Thank you, everyone, for those introductions. And now let's find out if we have anybody online. Do we have anyone of our members online? I see Mayor Christy Clark. Is that Christy?
It is.
You're muted.
You're muted. We can't. Technology is great sometimes, so.
We also have Michael Bryant.
All right, we have Michael Bryant, Mr. Manager. All right. Who is LW?
I have LJ Wazlowski.
LJ Kozlowski. All right, who
And Bill
else? Bill and Mr. Thunderbird. All right, so does that pass the test for recognition?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought I saw Woody. Maybe I didn't.
Do we see Woody Washam? Is Woody Washam, Mayor Washam?
I thought I saw him.
Okay, okay, so we're good. Okay. So before we begin, I want to pause and offer my deepest gratitude to each of you. Today's meeting is more than a routine. Right now, it's a milestone. It marks the final time that we gather before the voters have the chance to say yes to something transformational, a stronger, more accessible, and connected transit system. And I think all of those that have been a part of this would understand how important this is for our community, our cities, our towns, and for the people that live in this community. So thank you for the thing that we have that shapes our lives and opens doors and expands opportunity for generations to come. This is the moment that we've been building toward for years. I can think about the times that we would go visit the railroads people and all of that, and it's just kind of like it's like 5 or 6 years. It's like having a baby, a long time baby, I guess, you know. So we have been working on this and making it, and I think it's our moment and our community has been waiting for. So let us rise to meet with the vision, the unity, the purpose that brought us here. Thank you to our PTAC committee, those that are here today and those that were here before this, and the opportunity that you gave to give us purpose and to give us the ideas that we needed to have. Let us know that you're very thoughtful for what we do, and we really appreciate what you're doing. So I also want to say to our CATS team, I don't know if many of us thought that this would ever happen, but you're probably just as engaged as we all are over here, just because it's going to make a difference for everything that we do. You've done a lot of dedication, a lot of, what are those things called? Proper, all kinds of preparation for us, all kinds of things to teach us and get us through this. I just think that staff people really do deserve so much of this credit to move this forward. So, and from the bottom of my heart and my patience, I guess, I want to say it's been a privilege to stand beside all of you. Thank you very much. Our shared commitment to serve our community with excellence and to keep our transit system safe and to ensure that every person has the ability to move freely and thrive in Mecklenburg County continues. With that, tonight we have business to conduct, and I'm now going to turn over the commission's attention to the approval of our meeting summaries. So let's start with the following meeting summary from September, is that September 17th, 2025. Can I have a motion and a second to approve all the meeting summaries on this one? Do I need,
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, do you have that? Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, we have that Transit Advisory Committee. I'm Melissa Calderhead. The co-chair of PTAC has submitted a written report. Do you have any questions or comments for additional information?
Good evening. No, not at this time. Yeah, the report is on page 9, so if y'all have any questions or concerns regarding this, I'm happy to answer at this time.
Has anyone had a chance to take a look at this and make any questions? All right. Ms. Altman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the PTAC Chair and also to our CEO, can you tell me, I'm real interested in the request made by Marlon Stover regarding accommodations for people who are vision impaired. And I see here, it says the ideas are being explored through a separate pilot program, but I would love to know, and maybe it's difficult to say since we're at this, this junction, but I'd love to know when we might get a further update on being sure that all of our services are accessible to people who have low vision or are vision impaired.
Would you like me to answer that one, or?
Whoever has input, I would love, thank you.
Yeah, you know, I'm jogging my memory, and I think that item specifically was related to some of Ms. Prusetti's projects in place around the sensory items, the beacon-enabled apps, things of that nature. So at this point, if either of you would like to answer.
Yeah, I think that, so Mr. Stover is a member of the MTC. He represents vision impaired as an ADA rider or user of the system. He had a comment question asking us if CATS or Future Transit organization could strengthen relationships and gather community input as we are rolling out the transit system plan if passed, and we will follow up with Mr. Stover and with the MTC or others as we do that. But it was a good suggestion, and we will move forward with that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further questions? All right, given none, thank you very much. Now, next, we have public comments, and we have, I believe, 5 people that would like to speak. So when your name is called, please go up to the podium. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to provide their comments, and when your time is up, you'll hear a little bell that says ding, and we hope that you'd end your comments at that time. And so now, let's start with our first speaker, Karen Sullivan. I don't see that she has come in. We'll see at the end if she does. Christopher Miller? Christopher Miller? All right. Michael Bermez? Thank you. Please come to the podium. You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Bermudez. I actually came from out of state. I'm from Spartanburg. And the reason why I came today is because of public safety, because I believe public safety matters to everybody. And in light of recent events that has happened, specifically Irina Zarutska's murder on the rail, I believe these are conversations that concern everybody. Mayor Lyles, it is your job to uphold the Constitution of the United States and to protect your constituents. That is not optional. That is your duty. You should use your platform to condemn violence and stand behind law and order. You could use it to push accountability and justice, but you don't. Instead, you make excuses. You said, and I quote, "We can't police our way out of a mental health crisis." Meanwhile, families are burying their loved ones. Criminals are not afraid of the consequences anymore because they know they'll be coddled, not punished. Irina Zarutska's killer was released 14 times before his murder. 14 chances. You still defend these broken policies. You make excuses for violent criminals when you should be standing with victims. When you fail to use your power to encourage justice, you become an accessory to violence. The road to any safe society starts with law and order. No excuses, no sugarcoating. And some facts, 111 homicides happened last year, a 25% increase from the year before. A 15-year-old was arrested 111 times, is still walking free. 60% of violent offenders had previous charges. J.C. Edwards, only 4 years old, was shot in his bed. Charlotte has become a slaughterhouse. People are dying left and right. Every single day there's another headline, another victim, another tragedy. You thanked the media for respect when they did not air the footage of Irina's murder. However, where was the respect when soft on crime policies that you've encouraged has allowed the murder of Irina and Jace? Where is the respect for standing up for the victims? This isn't about politics. This is about the reality of public safety, which is nonpartisan. It's survival. And let's be very clear, this is a national embarrassment. Even the president had to condemn your failure. You will be remembered for this. No kings, no queens. You are not the Queen of Charlotte. You are a public servant, and it is about time that you do your job. And I end my speech here.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Nelson Branch. Is Nelson Branch? All right. Our next speaker is Ms. Sum Kim.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Ms. Kim, and I came here today not a politician, but as a mother, a neighbor, and someone who loves this city deeply. I have been here for 23 years, and I love Charlotte very much. In recent months, we've lost precious lives. Irina Zarutska, a woman who should be walking, our neighbors still the little J.C. Edward, only 4 years old, who was killed while he slept. These names, these faces should stay with us. They remind us that every decision we make about transportation and safety affects real people. People with families, with dreams, with futures that matter. We have also seen shootings and violence that make people afraid to use our transit system. This is unacceptable. We need a comprehensive safety plan that combines better lighting, more visible staff, community policing partnerships, emergency response systems, and modern technology like CCTV cameras and emergency call buttons at every major stop connected to police department. One practical and fair step would be to install controlled entry gates or turnstiles at key stations, systems that require fair validation before boarding. This helps reduce fare invasion, improves rider safety, and ensures that funds are used responsibly. But fairness must come first. We are having this transit system to protect people that are unfortunate and give them opportunity to come out as workforces. Let's not forget about that. So the Fairness must come first. Reduce fares for low-income residents, exemptions for seniors, and people with disabilities, and easy multilingual payment options must be part of the design. And above all, we need trained staff present to assist riders and protect them. Our transit system is failing the people who depend on it the most. In the neighborhoods struggling with poverty, buses don't come often enough. Stops are unsafe. Families are cut off from jobs, from schools, from opportunity. When we leave these communities behind, we leave behind the very
Kim,
heart of
thank you so much,
Charlotte.
but your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
very
listening.
much. All right. This concludes the portion of our public session. And so now let's go forward, move forward. And I believe that our next is to hear from our, from Britt for us. So we're our Chief Executive Officer report, Britt Cagle. Let's go with that.
Members of the MTC, public, thank you. I'll try to keep my comments brief this evening. Before I get into the summary of monthly statistics and the statistics, I do want to point out a couple things. First, I want to thank all of the towns for their partnership as we have worked together to launch MEC Connect. The CATS and city staff partnered with each of your communication teams to pull this together, and MEC Connect has launched. Ms. Coomer will be sending out and sharing an email with each of you regarding the work and giving you links to the materials. But that effort has gone live, and we appreciate all of the collaboration from the towns and your communication teams and the county as well. So, before we jump into the safety stats, I do want to give you an update on security efforts. So as we have discussed before, PSS or PPS, doing business as PSS, continues to increase staffing to get to the full contracted staffing amount by the end of the year. Those efforts are going well, and they are onboarding and training staff as we speak, and they are on track to be able to fully staff the contract by the end of this calendar year. We also continue to offer off-duty police assignments for CMPD officers. We are seeing good participation for sign up for this work. These off-duty officers sign up to take the shifts that are offered, and we work directly with CMPD to shape those shifts and make those assignments, and we are seeing good participation. Last week, our last full week of reporting for the off-duty assignments had approximately 930 hours filled with CMPD officers. This has resulted in an increase in visible presence along the light rail system as well as in the bus system. And we have seen consistently over the last few weeks increasing number of signups or the hours increasing of what is being taken for the off-duty work. Also, as we've discussed before, the CTC, establishing the CTC as a fare zone. The first step in that was closing the concessionaires, the food and beverage concessionaires. There's a federal process associated with that. That process is complete. All concessionaires are no longer in the CTC, and we will be moving on to the next step, which is quite literally establishing a line, a blue line outside the CTC that states it is a fare zone, and that will enable us to better enforce the CTC as a fare zone or a place for ticketed passengers only. We also have deployed the UTV and bike units through PSS. And we are also, and we are continuing to emphasize reducing and eliminating fare evasion with fare blitzes and a more extensive use of exclusions. An exclusion is a ban from the system for failure to pay fare or to failure to follow rider rules. Those exclusions can range from 1 week, 30 days, all the way up to indefinite. I will note that an indefinite exclusion can be rescinded. The difference between an exclusion that is for 30 days, for example, that exclusion expires after a set period of time. An indefinite exclusion does not expire. It requires the person who has been excluded to come to CATS to request the exclusion be lifted based on changing circumstances or those kinds of things. So no one is literally permanently banned without the ability to come back and ask for reinstatement or a rescinding of the exclusion. But that is something that we are utilizing much more for both fare evasion and violation of the rider rules or altercations that may occur throughout the system. We're also looking at are the efforts working? And we are pulling together a set of metrics. This is part of our transit security plan that we submitted to the FTA, and we will be pulling together those metrics more formally with the FTA. But we are looking at initially from August to September and now into October. We've also been looking at indicators. One indicator that we've looked at is the number of tickets that are activated, not just purchased, but also activated. And from August into September, in August, we saw ticket activations on a weekday basis of somewhere in the 5,000 per day range. Into September and to today, we've seen that ticket activation rate go up substantially into the 6,000 to 7,000 activated ticket range per day. So again, while we continue to look for definitive measures to gauge the effectiveness of our fare evasion efforts, ticket activations is certainly one of those, and it is we see it as a positive sign moving forward. We are also addressing bus routes where we see high levels of non-payment. Some of these routes have higher rates of non-payment, and that can lead to these being more difficult routes to serve. These routes generally, some of these routes generally are along corridors where there are a large concentration of unhoused or social service providers that are providing services to the unhoused. And it's also important for me to note here, when I say these routes can be difficult, that is not to be interpreted that I'm saying these routes have higher violence or criminal activities that can occur. But from a difficult standpoint, as an example, on routes where there are overnight shelters, for example, it becomes difficult from a litter standpoint, from a loitering standpoint at those stops, and also from the rider experience standpoint, because generally speaking, some of these shelters, they're overnight shelters and they let out at the same time each morning, which creates a large influx of passengers in the morning and in the evenings when they're returning, which can lead to lack of space for passengers. So we are looking at that, and I will also say it's important to remember that when we talk about non-payment, that is not necessarily fare evasion, in that in the past, many years ago, CATS created informal agreements with shelter providers to allow their clients to use transit to access needed services without paying a fare. We have been actively working to address these issues over the last 2 years, including donating surplus vans to some of these providers so that they can provide transportation for their clients to their needed services. However, given the focus on the need for all riders to have a ticket, starting in on October 1st, we informed the service providers that all riders need to be ticketed. So we are working through that, and we're continuing to work with nonprofits and other partners in the community to continue to find other solutions for addressing the needs of this part of the community. With that, I will jump into our summary of monthly statistics.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, do you mind if I ask questions before he changes subjects?
No, that's fine, sure.
Thank you. When you say fare blitzes, what does that mean? Like, is that a sort of surge of fare checkers that come and go because you can't keep it at a consistent level? What is a fare blitz and how does it work?
Yeah, so a fare blitz will be, we identify a platform or series of platforms or a segment of the line, and staff will go out and security staff will go out and they will literally conduct fare inspections during that fare and blitz of all passengers or the majority of the passengers boarding. We try to target those on busy platforms or busy times of the day. And that is in addition to sort of the normal routine movement of security who is checking tickets throughout the day, but it's a fare blitz. Think about it, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but sometimes the police department will do speed enforcement blitzes where that is what they're doing specifically. In a certain area, this is the same concept.
Well, I know that it's incredibly, perhaps prohibitively expensive to close some of these open platforms. And so I'm real interested in our ability to incentivize changing behavior for our riders. When you have a fare blitz, you know, how many people who are riding are not ticketed, like, if you can say?
Yeah, we don't, so I do not have the data on that, but I will also say what we see is there are times when, and so ticket activation, when I mentioned that before, is important. There are times when we see passengers in the past who may have bought a ticket, but they have not activated it. Mm-hmm. And so if, short of a fare blitz, if they see a security personnel coming and starting to check tickets, they will then go straight to their phone and activate that ticket before the personnel can check it. That's still fare evasion. A fare blitz helps with that because it has much more personnel there who can check that active ticket before someone might, you know, pull a fast one and activate that ticket that's been sitting in their wallet.
Well, Mr. Thomas, I feel like I've asked, and I cannot remember your answer in previous conversations about this. Is there any sort of violation, civil violation for riding public transit without paying? It's like taking a service without paying, something akin to, you know, a traffic violation or a parking violation. Is there any local regulation that is currently in place that makes that illegal, essentially?
Yes, there is. There's a civil violation, and I believe it is a $50 fine
Okay.
For that.
Okay, great. So then it's a fair statement that I can make to the public that not paying is illegal.
That's right.
Okay. Well, I do think signage around that inside the trains and buses would help because I think people need to know they're actually breaking the law. And lastly, you mentioned that there were some bus routes where you were seeing more non-payment of the fare, and I'm wondering how is that happening because, you know, the train has a lot of points of entry. It's possible to get on without personnel seeing you, but you have to go through the bus driver to get on the bus. So how's this fare evasion occurring on the bus?
Yeah, so again, it's not always fare evasion. It may just be non-payment, but
What's the difference?
so as I said, many years ago, CATS did enter into informal agreements with certain service providers to allow their clients to ride without a ticket to get to those services, but that is no longer acceptable. The second part of your question is, post-COVID, as we saw assaults or potential, whether they be verbal or physical assaults on operators increase, those assaults, a very large percentage of conflict between passengers and operators occurs at the fare box. So operators are specifically not to try to do fare enforcement. That is for that is for different personnel. But they do record that, right? And so as we see that non-payment, then we can deploy the appropriate personnel to address that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So in the monthly statistics, so in the,
I have a question.
I'm sorry.
take questions.
We don't take questions. This is the meeting for the community or for the people that are working through this. But please come back at our next session. Thank you.
Forgot you guys were the community, my bad.
so with the safety summary, there were 6 reportable incidents in September related to traffic accidents, vehicles striking buses. There was a 7th reportable incident associated with vandalism or defacing CAT's property as well. In the paratransit division, there was 1 reportable incident in September, again associated with a vehicle accident. In the rail division, there were no reportable incidents in September. I will note there was 1 assault on a transit worker in September that you can see that on page 15 in the assaults on transit workers table. That assault occurred when a passenger struck an operator over not wanting to pay their fare. And security did manage that, and exclusions were issued to the passengers. It was actually 2 passengers together. Moving on to on-time performance. In September, our on-time performance was 83% of bus services were on time, with 1.3% early and 15.7% late. We also saw an OTP increase, or the performance increased by 4% from September of 2024. I want to point that out because in June of this year, the MTC approved several route adjustments based on our on-time performance analysis, and we are seeing significant improvements on OTP in many of those routes. Those are listed on page 14. Route 5, the airport, is at 85% this month, or in September, up from 78%. Route 12 is up to 84%, up from 73%. 14 is at 89%, up from 77. And the 15 is up to 89 as well, up from 77%. All of these routes were identified as difficult routes from an on-time performance standpoint, and CATS and the MTC made adjustments in June, and those adjustments are showing through in much improved on-time performance. During the month of September, we saw a increase in ridership on express routes. However, we also saw a decrease in ridership in local or fixed route bus service. On the Blue Line, we experienced a 10.2% decrease in ridership. 2 notes on that. 3 notes on that. One is there was 1 less Panthers game during the month of September this year than there was last month. But clearly, Irina Zarutska's murder had played into that and had an impact on Blue Line ridership. I will also say, as we gather more data, what other transit agencies have seen, as other transit agencies have started to do enhanced or extensive fare evasion efforts, you also those agencies tend to see a reduction in ridership as well. But clearly for September, the main driver on the Blue Line were concerns associated with Irina Zarutska's murder on August 22nd. Microtransit ridership remained steady throughout September at 5,192 passengers. I will also point you to pages 25 and 26 of your packet, which shows bus route on-time performance in comparison over time, over the last months. And then 26 shows bus route missed trips. Again, bus route missed trips are under 1% for September, but the charts show you that average over the last few months. And then the last piece of my report is the sales tax report. Again, sales taxes are coming in roughly where we expected, slightly below the budget, but in line with our estimates. We have 1 month of actual reporting so far, which is July 2025. That is the end of my report.
Any other questions or comments?
Just a question, Brent.
Yes.
On the microtransit, those numbers look great. Are you seeing month-to-month increases still like we were at the beginning?
So let me find out. Are we seeing increases, or will we need to get back to you on that?
We are seeing some increases, but it's stabilized pretty much after the Village Rider. And we're seeing some growth, but not the same level of growth that we've seen over the last, over the 6 months,
Okay.
leading up to, from the implementation.
Okay, understood.
The extreme fast growth has come down, and now it
Sense.
does appear to be sort of a normal rate of growth, but much smaller than in the first 6 months.
Okay, great. And then one last question, Brent. On page 23, as you mentioned, the express bus, which is phenomenal, positive increase in the ridership. And I apologize, I haven't been keeping track through the months. Is this the trend that you've been seeing in 2025 compared to 24, where express buses just across the county are just seeing an increase in ridership?
We are seeing steady increases in express. We do believe that express, so I think there's two things at play. One, more people returning to work kind of thing as that continues. The other thing I'll say on express is we would expect to see higher rates of growth if we were able to offer more express service. We do think that there is more demand in the express market than we are able to serve today. And so with the transit system plan, we would expect to see even greater, if we're able to implement it, even greater growth in express specifically because of the limited number of express services that we run.
Understood. Thank you.
All right.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Saltman?
So, Mr. Cagle, on page 23, if I'm reading it right, there's been a net increase in bus ridership of 17% relative to a year ago. Is that right?
Look at this. Yeah, yes, in all bus services.
Netting
yes.
out.
Yes.
So I just want to say, that's awesome. That rate of improvement, I think is a reflection of on-time performance and all the work that the team has been doing to address some of the concerns in the ridership experience. And I have long been of the opinion that we will continue to attract more riders to our bus system as we continue to improve reliability and frequency, which is just one more reason why I'm so excited about the potential for Better Bus, because I really think that this community can and will want to transition to more time in public transit if it is reliable and safe. And so this is just really exciting, and congratulations on this improvement.
All right. Well, thanks, Brent. Does anybody have any other questions for Brent? Okay. Next on our agenda are 2 action items, an agency staffing plan and fare evasion, which we've started thinking about earlier. So who's going to kick us off?
So Mr. Osnes will provide you with a presentation on the agency safety plan. Again, let me set the stage with this. The agency safety plan is a federally required document. It is common for it to be updated annually, if not more often. We work directly with NCDOT SSO. They are the governing agency. They're empowered through the FTA. And we work directly with the NCDOT SSO to ensure that our agency safety plan meets all federal requirements, which certainly this version 5 will do. And Mr. Osnes will walk you through the agency safety plan as well as the recommended changes.
Okay, just a couple of points on the agency safety plan. As Mr. Cagle just stated, it is an FTA-required document where we work very closely with our SSOA partnerships. We work to ensure that there's an alignment with the plan to the federal standards as well as operating procedures that are part of what the SSOA looks for. And as a result of the collaborative work with our SSOA partner, we received a conditional approval on October 8th. And this evening now we're seeking support for full adoption from the Commission. Next slide. So what is the ASP, the Agency Safety Plan? The ASP is CAT's playbook. It's how we manage and integrate the function of safety across the organization. It ensures that basic principles of management accountability, employee participation, planning, evaluation are part of our business processes. The plan is really organized into 4 key pillars. This comes from the prescriptive requirements of the FTA standard, and it's predicated on policy, risk management, safety assurance, and safety promotion. If you look through the document itself, you'll see the table of contents has these 4 particular pillars, and each pillar is supported by specific practices and measurable outcomes. Importantly, I'd like to add that the ASP is absolutely not a security plan. This plan is designed to analyze risk and implement controls as it relates to occupational safety. It's not designed to look for vulnerabilities as it relates to security issues. Sometimes the term safety is used interchangeably, so I just want to mitigate the perception that this document is not designed to address security issues specifically. As far as changes, and we can go to slide 3. Sorry, Emily, I'm on a roll, and I should have asked you to flip slides. So slide 3, talking about substantive changes to the plan, is really, if you look at section 2.7 of the plan, talks about roadway worker protection. Roadway worker protection is a new focus of the FTA. There's a standard that has been developed by the FTA, and it's the biggest change to the ASP this year. I'll provide some context to what this is about. If you ever ride by a construction zone on the roadway, you would see signage. If you were paying attention, you would see buffer zones. Many of the same principles that you would see on the roadway construction work, those same principles are being applied to those employees that are on the tracks. So just to give you a little context of what we're implementing and the major changes to the document. I will close with slide 4. Want to talk a little bit about being a relative new member of the CAT staff, looking at this particular plan and making sure that this plan is truly integrated to our business processes. It is a heavily rail focused plan, but we have adopted this plan to unify the function of safety under this plan so that the principles are uniformly applied throughout the organization. I just want to add that my particular goal for 2025 is to make sure that that's happening. So, Mr. Cagle, I'll turn the floor back to you.
All right. So next on the agenda is, I think this says Brent. We're seeking approval for the plan that we just had the review of. So do I have to sign?
So we're seeking consideration, a vote tonight for approval of the agency safety plan revision number 5.
Okay.
Just one question.
All right, we have a question?
Thank you.
Ms.
Thank you for the
Otten?
presentation. So to summarize what I think I heard you say, this only concerns occupational safety, which is incredibly important because that's the employees of the transit system. But the focus of this is for them. Is that right?
That is correct, ma'am.
Okay. And what I understood you to say is that NCDOT has provisionally approved your plan. Is that right?
That is correct.
And what high-level substantive changes, not like, not administrative changes, but what substantive changes, if any, were y'all asked to make by NCDOT?
Well, again, the two organizations work very closely together so that the standards that are required under the FTA, as well as the operating procedures that are governed by the state operating agency, are part of this plan. So as I tried to frame out, the new standard of the FTA related to road worker protection was the biggest substantive part of the plan and changes to the plan. Outside of most of the administrative changes, and there were some procedural changes with the SSOA's operating procedures as well, but that was the biggest component of the plan for this year where we had a change.
Thank you.
All right. So may I have a motion to approve the CATS agency safety plan?
Move approval.
Make a motion and a second.
I'll second.
And we have a second. So all in favor, please raise your hand. Anyone opposed? No one's opposed to this? So thank you. So really appreciate the work and the comments that this really gives us as we begin to work closely with where we are having policy impact for CATS and making it possible for all of these other things. So I think we get this signed, we'll get these documents signed this evening. So our next item is on our budget.
So one more item,
Oh,
Ms.
Oh, that's
Prizzuti
right.
is
We have a
here
really- I'm
to
sorry.
give you
I
a
skipped
very
over
brief
you. Here we
overview
are.
of a resolution
Yeah.
related to fare evasion.
Yeah, good evening, members of the MTC. Tonight, I'm here to present a resolution for consideration by the MTC to affirm its commitment to fair enforcement in reducing fare evasion. The resolution reads as follows: whereas the MTC is committed to providing safe, reliable, and accessible public transit for all community members, and whereas fair enforcement is a priority for the MTC and CATS, and whereas fare evasion undermines the stability of the system, affects public safety, and places a disproportionate burden on paying passengers, and whereas the MTC will work with CATS to ensure fares are collected and fare enforcement is prioritized to minimize fare evasion across the system. Now therefore, it be resolved by the MTC that current contracted security staffing is maximizing opportunities for fare inspection as part of their current duties. Staff is directed to complete a detailed implementation plan of the identified fare compliance strategies outlined in the Integrated Security and Public Safety Plan. Staff shall receive training on de-escalation and how to balance fair enforcement with rider engagement with the goal of creating a safer and more welcoming transit experience for customers in the community. And lastly, establish a monitoring program to determine the success of the various program elements related to fair compliance.
Thank you very much for that review and the comments. And so what you've just read is actually the document that we would send forward to if this is approved tonight. Is that correct, Elizabeth? Thank you so much. So you've heard what Ms. she said, and is there any questions or comments for this? Any questions or comments? If not, having that, do I have a motion to have a resolution to prioritize fare enforcement and to reduce fare evasion?
So moved.
All right, and
I'll second.
a motion and a second has been made. So is there any question or any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Anyone in opposition? Then we're good to go. So again, this has been part, I think, of the work that's been done so much for the last several months or weeks to get this accomplished. So thanks for being able to get the team. Really appreciate the team's hard work to get it all done. So the next item that we have is our budget update.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I will be presenting this, and it is a very brief budget update indeed. The interlocal agreement does specify that CATS will have a discussion on budget in October with the MTC. So this is that conversation, and we are working on our budget, but we request that we have a more substantive budget discussion and overview in November after we know the results of the November 4th sales tax referendum, because certainly one way or another that will impact our recommendations for next year's budget.
All right, any questions or comments regarding that report? Okay, hearing none. I don't believe that takes an action item.
That is
So we will
information.
go ahead, it's just information. We're at the
agenda.
end of the agenda. And so welcome to all of you that came to participate with us today. Ms. Altman?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say that so often we feel that we either don't have the resources or we don't have the authority to do the things that we as a community know we need. And we get further and further behind, and we're sometimes powerless to do anything to help it. And we are so fortunate because of many people who worked hard before I ever got here to lay the foundation for this momentous choice that we have with the fall referendum for the transit initiative. This is our opportunity. We have both, by voting yes, the authority and the resources to make a quantum leap forward to provide access and dignity to people who don't have a car, to people who don't want to drive a car, to our senior citizens who may no longer feel safe driving a car, to members of the community who may have a disability. And we have to grab this opportunity with both hands to move us forward and grow in a way where everybody can thrive. And so I hope everyone will go out to vote and make your voice heard. And thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. Mr. Knox, Mayor Knox.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say something, because that's just what I do. I've been in the trenches with the mayor on this for more years than I want to count right now. So this is, we're at a crucial point in what our future brings. And I think people need to understand that this is not a political issue, and it should not be turned into a political issue. This is a people issue. The PAVE Act that was introduced by Republican Tricia Cawthon was originally introduced by Republican Senator Vicky Sawyer. This thing passed 39-3 in the state Senate. It passed 101-5 in the House. 85% of all elected officials in Mecklenburg County voted in favor of this, and 100% of the towns, all 7 towns, voted in favor of the MOU that creates the new Metropolitan Transit Authority. All but one of the county commissioners voted in favor of placing this on the ballot, and all but one of the county commissioners voted in favor of the MOU. And I would tell you, when this was originally introduced, there were counties around the state that wanted the same thing that we're getting. And this is our opportunity to show why Charlotte is better than everybody else and does it better than everybody else. So I would urge everybody to take this time between early voting that starts tomorrow and November 4th and educate yourselves and read up on this and realize that there are people that can answer questions if you have those questions. But this is not about politics when you have people across both parties that have supported it almost unanimously in the House and Senate and in our local jurisdictions as well. So with that, I'll shut up.
Well, thank you. You can always have good comments for us. And so with that, no further action. All in favor of closing out this meeting today, please say aye. Aye. Thank you very much for those of you that attended with us, and we look forward to the next step, early voting.